Welcome, everybody, to episode 98 of the You Can't Comp This NBA Trading Card Podcast. We're your host, Adam, Amy, and Russell Gibson. And this episode is brought to you by EJ Cards, who we were both lucky enough to attend the recent trade day at. How'd you find the day? It was good.
I thought the show out again was excellent.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like there's just more people every time. It's great.
Yeah.
It's
and what I heard from people that were there longer than I was is that there was just a very consistent stream of people coming through. So busy all day. And again, the dollar boxes were fantastic. The $20 boxes were good. They had an autos box this time.
Okay.
Looked like their window had thinned out a little bit, like they'd sort of sold a whole bunch of inventory, but
I thought Carson had just taken a bunch of stuff to the National, but he was on his way back from the National. He actually arrived while we were there, came back and straight from the airport to the store.
Young people are so resilient. I feel like if I was that jet lagged, I would not be turning up to work.
Yeah, it's what a whirlwind trip. You'd be knackered, wouldn't you?
He's young.
That said, I'm a little bit jealous. I would have loved to go to the National this year. That would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Cleveland next year.
I'm definitely keen to go to a National. I'm not sure I'd want to go to the massive one. I've sort of heard that sometimes the smaller shows have more boxes of cards as opposed to fancy pants stalls and all the rest of it. But beggars can't be choosers. If I'm in the States and it's on, I'm definitely.
If I win the Powerball tonight, I'm headed to the next one.
How many tickets have you got?
None.
Okay.
No, actually, I think I bought a random quick pick online, but we'll see.
Can you buy them online now?
You can now, yeah. And
no jokes.
Thing, I wonder if I hope I bought the right week. Anyway, imagine having the right numbers but bought the wrong draw. Sounds like something I'd do actually. God, yeah. No, the trade day was really nice. It was good to catch up with Jules and Rob down at EJ's, and we bumped into some familiar faces.
Yeah. I spent a fair bit of time with Karen, actually, which was lovely. Yeah. Tell us about your card, yeah.
So I saw it in the window. I couldn't help myself. Scottie Pippen, sneaker swatches, numbered to 49. One off being jersey numbered, which was a bit of a shame, but I saw it and went, it just looks like a really bad patch, but it's a bit of sneakers. So
yeah,
it's a nice Scottie Pippen. And we know that Scottie's not the most popular of guys at the moment. He's a little bit outspoken since the Last Dance. I think he's been going slowly crazier and crazier. But, history will remember him.
Drop the beef, boys. Drop the beef.
That's it. History will remember him as the greatest sidekick ever. I still accredit him for the reason that Jordan was so successful. But
totally.
You need that
did
support.
Everything.
Yeah. So, picked up that bad boy. It was a really good day. And some interesting chats.
I had a lovely time down there too, and I think I said this last time and I didn't get it done, but I would mind to take Juju down just for let her go through the Pokemon boxes, because I've got a feeling they've got free boxes down there, to be honest. Like they do cater for all the price points.
They do. And that's a good thing about any local store, is being able to to accommodate.
Yeah. They had an absolute heap of sealed stuff on for sale too, and probably the stuff that took my notice the most was the T-Mall stuff. Actually, I didn't put this into the sheet, mate, but I wanted to talk about this. I might segue straight into this. So we'd been doing
a segue in the introduction.
Well, it's kind of a segue into a segment. I mean,
segue into a segue. All right.
We'd been talking about items that we want to have on hand just to open up a packet here and a packet there.
Mm-hmm.
And, look, there's arguments, for that, both ways. One way is you say, okay, it's a waste of money. Just put that into, one single and you're better off doing that. And that's fine. Sure. I definitely can't argue with that.
Yep.
The other argument is it's just quite enjoyable opening sealed product, and particularly when it's at the right price point, you don't really feel like you're passing a kidney stone when you've opened this box and there's nothing in there, right? So
For sure.
And I think that's been the general sort of, gist of what's been happening in the last couple of years. But I think that the market, well, let me rephrase that. We've been talking about this. The market's changed a lot. So some things have changed more than others. And this is something that I found recently. And to be honest, I saw this at EJ Cards, and this is how I sort of got onto this.
Yeah.
So Spectra Basketball and Obsidian Basketball also do a T-Mall. And I think when T-Mall came out, the criticism is it's basically just retail with a hobby label put onto it.
Yep.
And there is an argument for that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get the same hits that you get out of hobby, but you get different types of hits. The other thing is
Yeah.
you don't get guaranteed hits each box. So what I mean by that is, just say in Spectra you're supposed to get 4 autographs. You might get 4 autographs in a case, not 4 autographs in a box. So you might open a box and get no patch autograph or autograph. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously cards on the table here, they're not as good as that. However, the price has come down to a point now where like the conversation has to be had. Like, should you be buying this and ripping it? So
Yeah.
on eBay recently, it's sold between 55 USD, and today some sold for about $80, $85 USD. So
Okay.
for me, at 55 to 60 to 65 to even to 70 US dollars, like, that's kind of around the $100 mark. Probably by the time you pay postage on it, it was 7 USD actually from China. So yes, it's going to take a little while to get to you. It's a long play here that we're talking about, but still, it's like worth mentioning. I got to say, this should be in your eBay queue. The other thing that's really, become apparent to me too is that people aren't trying to maximize the returns on everything. They're just letting stuff go now. So, and I'm not saying this to compare prices to what EJ Cards are selling or even have a go at their pricing. My recollection was that their pricing was around the $300 mark for a box of Tmall, which is a very reasonable price, by the way. So let's just say 250 to 300, a reasonable price. I do
Yeah.
suspect these people who are currently selling it are probably losing money on it, and they're just happy to let it go at a loss, and I think
Yeah.
that's a really good way to summarize, how the hobby has changed the last 12 months. People are happy to let go of stuff at a loss. In addition to that, now is the time to start opening up sealed product again.
It's an interesting situation we're currently in market wise. I think that's one of the conversations I had on the weekend where we're talking about the value we get out of sealed product.
Yeah.
You got to be picky, I think, is the right undertone with what you purchase. I think sealed product is back. Yeah.
You definitely have to enjoy the product that you're opening.
Correct. It's not even about value anymore. You have to like the product.
Mm.
Like you have to be happy with what you're actually the purpose behind ripping packs.
When you mean it's not even about the value anymore, what's the underlying meaning of that?
It's the aesthetics. It's like, do you remember how we talked about a card and like investing in a card and buying a card?
Yeah.
Do you buy something that you want to, that if you don't sell it or can't sell it, are you going to be happy with having that around and seeing it?
Yeah.
Like, are you buying a product that, yeah, sure, there might be some really, really good cards in it, but as far as the way the product looks, are you going to be happy if you're stuck with those cards?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're buying a sealed box, like you're stuck with the whole box, right? And so like, you better be opening something you like for sure.
Sure.
Yeah, I think, where it's a bit weird for me at the moment though, yes, like box prices have come right down. Like, Select Hobby not that long ago was say 1,500 AUD a box. Now
Yeah.
it's at 600, and it was actually 650, 700, sort of sitting in that price range. So let's just say it's come down 50%. I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to say.
Yeah.
I suppose the next thing is has singles prices also come down 50% to sort of match that? And probably in some ways it has, because
Yeah.
so Select is a really good product to talk about in that sense, because it isn't that sort of top shelf. It's not Prism. It's not NT. It's not Flawless. It definitely is that step below.
But it's a nice looking product. Is that what you're getting at? Like,
no, it's very, very nice.
Yeah.
It's very, very nice. But like what I was going to say is, just going back to what you're talking about, I thought what you were going to talk about was value. So what are you getting back from it in terms of, value wise? And I'm just leading to, well, yes, it's the box has come down, but so is, singles prices too. And that's where it gets a little bit tricky, because like it was just like, okay, well, box prices have come down by half and singles prices have held. It's a home run to open up sealed, right? But it's not that straightforward in the equation, So
yeah, true. I got a couple. It's funny that you mentioned Select, because I've got a comment in the chat saying Select, good value, good inserts. It's actually quite a well-rounded product as far as
it's insanely well-rounded. You get patches, patch autographs, you get the nice case hits. It really does tick a lot of boxes. Yeah.
Yep. Another comment with the price of sealed product coming down. Another comment in the chat was value to keep as well, like to vault it, to put it away.
So
that's an interesting thought. I'm just relaying what I'm seeing in the chat. So
look, I'm very happy to have this conversation in a wider audience. If this is something that we want to talk about as a group, I think this actually is a good one. The people that say that it's a home run, I don't agree with, just for the fact of the redemptions. The other thing that's really on my mind now too is, now that Panini's lost their license, what's the impact going to be there for redemptions that
correct.
Not only can you not redeem them, like the company's not even around anymore.
There's another company running the show. It's going to be very different.
Or do you just write that off as a loss and say, well, it's the low numbered cards that we're chasing, the Luka numbered to 8 rookie card that's still out there, stuff like that. Is that what you're holding out hope for? Yeah.
It's interesting. It's, I don't know. It all comes back to why we're in the hobby. Not we as in, but why any individual. Like, it's, I guess, what you want to get out of it. If you want to take that punt and you want to buy some sealed product while the price is on the dip, and then put that away for a rainy day and see what the product looks like in 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
Then it's like anything. It's an investment. It's a risk.
You can rip it, you can break it, you can put it away into your vault. I think that's the other fun thing too. It's not, you don't just have to have like a singular point of view, like.
Correct.
Yeah.
You can grab a box now of product where, well, we're looking at products with a draft class that might not have been established, for argument's sake. We'll look at the draft class. Things happen, go up and down as far as, I mean, Chet hasn't played an NBA game yet, but we saw some promising signs. Do you know what I mean?
Promising. Yeah.
And so what happens if that draft class increases? Does the product naturally go up? On the flip side to that, does Victor Wembanyama end up as the next Anthony Bennett? And is he end up playing in Turkey in the next 3 or 4 years? I don't think so.
No, I see your point.
But if the draft class ends up being incredibly poor, does the value of that cheap product you got just not ever increase because the draft class was ordinary? So there are so many external factors to something like that. But
totally,
I don't know. As collectors, we buy a set because of the way it looks. We buy a set because of perceived value of like value for money as far as the cards in it.
Yeah, definitely.
We set chase. There's so many different things. Some people just grab a box because they want to rip packs.
Yeah.
And they actually don't want it. They just want to flip some stuff and go, you know what? I'm going to open a box and see what I get.
Yeah. And look, I think retail has come down to that point now where it's okay just to buy a box to rip. Like, the retailers really come right down. Like, you can get a box of Prism retail for $100 now.
There is no shame in going, you know what? I want to rip some packs and just get some retail product.
Yep. Hey, you mentioned Chet. Do you want to segue into him? Because we did have him in the run list.
We do. I was just touching on him briefly. We can go back to him.
No, it's fine. Like, I've got him open now. You've already mentioned it, so
yeah, all right.
Again. So look, he played really well in the summer league. I think that his body still looked to me to be a little bit undercooked. I think he's going to put on a little bit more weight. His legs are, like, frankly, to me, scary, but obviously they're working totally fine. Very skilled big man. I think he's going to fit in OKC really well. I think that is quite a match made in heaven's probably gone a little bit too far, but everything looks, all systems go. That's going to be fantastic. Now, the thing that's really interesting about Chet is his sold prices. So $37 USD for a silver rookie Prism that's raw.
Yeah.
And I think that I actually expected his prices to be a lot higher.
Yeah.
A lot higher. Now, this could be simply that it's the off season and, things have sort of simmered down a little bit. It could be that. But at the same time, if you're high on Chet, going onto, eBay or wherever you buy your cards on the secondary market.
Yeah.
For me, this is a buy at the moment, and I'm not even particularly high on Chet.
Yeah. I've seen after what I saw in Summer League, I think if he does stay healthy and he does come out I think OKC are going to be really exciting. I don't know about where they're going to finish, but I think
They're going to be crazy exciting this year. I
think they're
agree
going to
with
be
you.
such a
Yeah.
good league pass team to watch.
Yeah.
And if he stays fit and healthy and they do get a bit of excitement, I reckon he's a good chance to win Rookie of the Year.
Really?
Like I think he's going to get a lot of minutes, a lot of exposure, and he's a second-year player. He hasn't played a game yet, but he's been in and around the organization for a season.
Yeah, no. I
I
definitely
feel like
see your
there's
point with that. That's the whole Donovan Mitchell versus Ben Simmons argument, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So, segue within a segue of a segue. If you search for a Pandora short print, they're numbered to 150. This is actually a new short print. The best way for me to describe it is almost looks like bricks laid out onto a wall. Just look out for those because occasionally those will come up and they're not numbered. They're not listed appropriately. They're not. It doesn't say number to 150.
Ah.
A lot of those were sold early on, and I'm not too sure that the penny had dropped on for both buyer and seller in that situation. So, yeah,
worth exploring there. I've got a question in the chat now. Has the Silver Prism lost a bit of value over the last few years, though? And I'm like, I still think the Silver Prism is the barometer as far as market value. And we discussed Silver Prism Raw. When you go back into the Silver Prism PSA 10 bracket, this is where you see prices in. Yeah. So the opportunities come with the raw cards because they're ungraded, I guess. So
I think to answer that question specifically, I think the answer is no. I think the heat has sort of come off the market, in general. I wouldn't say like specific cards.
Yeah. Yep. That's even better.
You might make the argument though that percentage-wise, maybe more money has come off silvers because, so many of those are sort of, bought and sold, but no, I don't think so. But to take your point about us using it as a barometer, well, the reason why we use those ones too, because there's a lot more data points on it. So it just makes what you talk about when you do talk about silvers is that, just so much more relevant, basically.
True.
You want to do Matty Tabe's listener question?
Yeah, well, that was going to be number 1 off the run sheet. So since we're up to segue number 5, let's
number 5. Yeah, let's do it.
let's discuss.
Set collecting dead. I enjoy finishing sets and know how long some sets can take and finish, but then to sell a complete set, the price doesn't reflect the effort, in my opinion. Not that I sell my sets, but I do see them for sale. Adam, where are you with this, mate?
I feel I'm going to get so philosophical about this right now.
Oh, jeez.
No, I'm not. I feel, honestly, if you're a set chaser, I feel like the collecting of the set, it's about the journey, not the destination. It's the effort that goes into it is part of the experience. Like sourcing your cards, I don't think it needs to be, I put all this effort in and this is what I got out at the end. I don't feel like collecting to flip or sell, and Matt's already said that in his statement, but is the goal. But I don't think it'll ever be reflected because the experience you get in collecting that is part of the fun. Do you know what I mean? It's the thrill of the chase. It's the acquiring those last couple really hard to get cards. That's a private and personal experience.
Yeah.
Whereas the sale of it sort of will never reflect that. I think we were talking about a couple of weeks ago when we were speaking to Shaq Fu 32, and that was the thing. It's about the story behind the card, and I think when it comes to set chasing, it's the same story. It's the same thing. It's the story. The story makes the set, in my opinion. So I don't think it's a fair way to judge it. The actual resale value, and it's a pretty boring story if you say I went on eBay and I bought the set versus I spent hours and there was one guy that was not going to sell me the super short print that I needed, and I don't know. It's the reason we all do what we do. We love sharing our experiences. So yeah.
So
your turn.
Yeah, I'm just going to answer the question straight out. Is set collecting dead? The answer is no.
Never.
I think people are still collecting sets.
Yeah.
And I think people collect a varied amounts of different sets. So I'll give you a couple of examples of that. So the first example is the Prism base set. I think people still do collect that.
Okay.
And then to answer your second bit about the time that it takes to do, so I can answer this specifically because I'm currently sorting out a case of Prism Retail at the moment into numerical order and then putting into sleeves. And then I'm trying to work out, actually, do I have more than one full set? And if I do have more than one full set, actually, I am going to sell it as a complete set. So this is a little bit of a timely thing. And then to answer that specifically, yes, it takes a lot of time and effort. And frankly, this is going to me, a few weeks. Because that's the other thing too, actually sitting there and doing it for more than an hour, like that just sort of does my head in, to be honest. So I'm sort of doing it in hour blocks.
Hour blocks. It's got to be a relaxation thing, you see?
Yeah,
it's all
definitely.
about the story. It's got to be
definitely.
your Zen time.
So then the other thing I think people do too is they're collecting insert sets. And then you got people like, say, Matthew Hugo, I'm pretty sure I'm getting this right. He's collecting a set from Absolute, and it's I can't remember the correct name, but the hat cards. And I'm pretty sure they're numbered to either 25 or 15. So now he's just down like to the last few. And now it becomes more about scarcity as opposed to, Prism cards where there's 15 million of them. So they're easy to get. It's just more about getting the card. But if you want to chase a card, from a set. So, for example, I bought a complete set of Flux recently, the factory sealed box. There was actually one card missing from it. I went onto ComC and bought it in 2 seconds. So, that's your other option too.
Yeah,
completing sets, ComC is absolutely the go.
Yeah. Anthony Milne in the chat, an hour block. I do it for days without sleep.
I need to step my game up, don't I? That's like just weak.
Either that or you just pass your cards on to Anthony to sort for you.
Weak game. Yeah, he'll have it sorted out in a night. Yeah.
It'll be done.
Alrighty, baby Kaboom. So this is something that has been on my mind for quite a while now, and just for various reasons, we haven't had a chance to talk about it in the show. We had Tim from Slabstrong.
We've had Tim. We've had Joe, which is a double episode.
Yeah. So one thing I really like about cards is no matter where your budget is, there's always a card for you. Now, if you cannot afford a Kaboom, my suggestion is that you go onto eBay or wherever you buy your secondary cards and Google Revolution Impact and then X player that you want. I can only describe to you the pattern of this card is very, very, very similar to what a Kaboom looks like, but at 150th of the price that you would pay for a Kaboom. So I think Revolution cops a lot of flack, but with the on-card autographs, and I really like the cubic cards. That's one of my favorites. I really like these impacts, and I also like the Galactics too. So I've got a lot of time for short printed Revolution. It's very nice.
They should have just, instead of call it Revolution, they should have called it Kaboom to start with.
Baby Kaboom.
Just Kaboom. That's the set, Kaboom. Then Kabooms would have to get a different nickname, but
yeah,
it is.
And just to give credit for the genesis of this idea, I actually saw someone advertising an impact on eBay as a baby Kaboom. So that's where that came into my head. So
we can use that as a search term.
Yeah, try baby Kaboom. See what comes up. Yeah.
Glenn Davis, Kaboom. No, anyway. Is that like just too layered? Big baby Glenn Davis? Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Pretty layered, but some old school guys will know what you're talking about.
Exactly. I'm sure there'll be a Boston fan from like the
Do you remember that photo of him lying down cradling the championship trophy? That was fantastic. That guy's a character.
Oh God.
Google search Glenn Davis Holiday Inn. Not for discussion on the show, but definitely for
All right. Well, on to baby Kabooms, because I've just segued within your segue. Have we finished Revolution?
No, that's finished. On to the next thing.
I reckon we want to see people's impacts.
Yeah, we'll do a social media post for it. Yep.
Holiday Inn, did you say?
Yeah. So we don't talk about a lot of non-NBA on the show very often, but this is a very special card. And the thing that I want to talk to you about is the reaction of both people. So what I'm referring to here is the Magic 1-of-1 card that recently sold. Post Malone, maybe more famously known for his music, bought it for 2.6 million USD. And I can only describe his interaction with the gentleman that he was buying it off as very genuine. And the look on the guy's face when he sold it for 2.6, he was Like that was true life-changing happiness that you could like see in his eyes.
Yeah,
You
that's
know, yeah.
crazy.
The other thing I really like about this video too is it's such a contrast from the Ken Golden situation where the guys go in there with the triple Logoman one of LeBron James sitting there telling Ken Golden, "Oh, we're quite attached to this card. We've had it for 3 days, but here we are sitting with you, helicoptered into your offices." You know what I mean? Like, at least this guy's like, "Look, I'm going to come up here in my singlet
Yeah.
shirt. Clearly, I don't know. Maybe it looked like maybe he hadn't showered for a couple of days. He's just, had a red eye flight, something like that. But he knew the reason why he was there to get that life
It's
changing
about,
money.
yeah,
He's not
getting down to
telling everyone,
business.
you know, how attached to the card he is. Like,
Yeah. It's
I
like,
found
oh
this
my,
interaction so much more genuine. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Oh, just now, I think we chatted about this offline. This is the first ever Magic the Gathering 1-of-1.
Correct.
That's historic. When you think about it, it might be the only one. It might be the only time Magic the Gathering do a genuine 1-of-1.
Look, I know very, very little about Magic. In fact, I
Yeah.
would say I know nothing about Magic, but I would say that the amount of interest that it's drawn up for this product has been crazy to the point that I would even say I was interested in buying a box for myself to rip. Like one
Just to
box,
try and
get the one of one. Why not? There would have been thousands of dudes like me contemplating it and or doing it. So I think if it's as successful as I think it has been, that
Yeah.
means they'll do it again in some
Yeah.
different capacity. Why that Pokemon Magic don't have numbered cards in it to me is just head scratching, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. It means they can print as much as they want, I guess. You don't know about the print runs about how many copies, how rare something is. It's interesting because it's all player driven. Because it's a card game, I think. Because Pokemon doesn't number their cards.
No, but can you
Both
imagine how
yeah.
crazy people would go for numbered Pokemon stuff? Anyway.
Imagine those shiny variants were all numbered. There's an idea for your Pokemon. See? We're thinkers.
Yeah. So we've gotten through half an hour of a show and not mentioned... Oh, we did mention the Nationals, didn't we? But we haven't really spoken about it.
We touched on it. We said that we didn't really touch on it much.
I've deliberately not put anything really Nationals related into the run sheet because there's so much content out there about the Nationals. You know, you don't need us to give like a secondhand thing about. And to be honest, there's other stuff I'm excited to talk about, so I don't really need to talk about it. However, I do have Schadenfreude, and I found a Schadenfreude post that is tickling my fancy. So Rick Probstein brought in his Jordan PSA 10 collection. He wanted to cross over one of them to a BGS 10 and possibly into a BGS 10 black label. That's what he wanted, was the black label.
Mm-hmm.
None of his 31 copies could cross over to BGS 10, so obviously none could cross over to the black label. Now, this is the part where it kind of gets like fantastic. So there were some close-up photos of some of them.
Yep.
And an eagle-eyed consumer put the number into the PSA registry and it came back as counterfeit cert number. The certification number provided has been temporarily deactivated as a precaution due to its use on a known counterfeit in the market. Please contact the customer request center if you own an item. So now this runs into, for me, this is sort of like a very big picture thing, because I think if you've got the leaders in the market walking around with counterfeit Jordans in their possession, in PSA slubs, you know, for me, that creates a trickle down. You know what I mean? Like where lower level scams sort of becomes almost acceptable, you know, people not paying their bills, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Selling cards they don't have, you know, all that type of stuff. For me, it's a little bit of a trickle down. And so
it's certainly controversial, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's I don't know.
For me, I'd like to see him make a statement about this.
I would expect a statement, wouldn't you? Like
clarify, you know, how that could happen. Is he resolving it? You know, yada yada. Like, yeah.
It seems It's like, we won't cross this over to a black label, but we will confiscate it because it's not genuine and destroy it. Will PSA destroy it and reimburse him the money? Oh, no, it's a counterfeit number. Ooh.
I have no idea. Look, I think they would compensate him, actually. Well, they should, right? That's the PSA guarantee, isn't it?
But did he get it through PSA though? If it's a counterfeit slab.
Got no idea. No idea, man.
Oh, that would be bad. Yeah, that's watch this space, I guess. We'll have to
We're not
check
going to
back
hear
in.
anything more about that. That will be swept very thoroughly under the carpet. And look, probably my closing thought on this is also too, like, I do trust the PSA label. I've got no idea how to pick out counterfeits.
Yeah, true.
That would be heartbreaking if you did buy one and it was a counterfeit.
Can I just go back to something you said previously? I googled Glenn Davis Holiday Inn
Yeah.
instead of Glenn Baby Davis Holiday Inn, and I got there's a place called Glenn Davis in New South Wales, and it has a holiday Inn.
The other Glenn Davis.
Oh, Glenn Davis Boutique Hotel. Oh, I'm not even. No, I'm all right. Done. And then it's got okay. Big Baby Ghost Ballistic Hotel. I think that's the one you were hoping I would find.
Yeah.
I will watch the YouTube video after the show.
It is wild, and I genuinely like that guy's enormous. I feel bad for the person behind the counter. God, that would have been scary. All right, Neon Etch. So this is from Obsidian. We did put something up on socials for this, so if you did miss it, either go back onto the socials or just go onto eBay and search for some of these. Look, every year there's one card out of each product that's just absolute fire, and this is the card out of Obsidian this year. Now, the price on this is actually not that high. So they're sort of selling between 15 USD for, veterans.
Okay.
And then up to, 80 plus USD for rookies, which is, what you would expect. So the only thing I'm not too sure about is it a case hit? Is it an SP? Is it a SSP? Look, if you follow what eBay says, it's an SSP. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just more of a traditional short print, but they're not in every box. So maybe every 4 boxes, something like that. But
yeah,
I mean, and
so
this is
not,
maybe a conversation we need to have. What is an SSP? For me, an SSP is like 1 per case. They're definitely not 1 per case.
Okay.
Yeah. What's your definition of SSP?
Case hit or just as rare. Yeah.
Yeah. So that will be like, say, number
you can
20.
pull two. You can pull something two in a box every once in a blue moon.
Yeah. But that's a different conversation, right?
Yeah.
That's the reverse of being panini'd.
Yeah. Correct. Well, we love that.
Yeah.
Panini'd.
Well, if you skunk out on a break, you've been panini'd.
You've been panini'd. Yeah. It's true. Oh God. Yeah. No, I'd agree with Bunce Case. Yeah, it's one of those that's relatively.
Yeah.
It's rare.
Alrighty. Our boy Tim from Slabstrong, congratulations to you, sir. You've been gainfully employed by BCW.
And he's running breaks for sports cards and nonsense. And he's like
an inventor with a patent.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And he has a big hat.
Huge.
Let's not forget about his big hat.
Huge. And he kept it on the whole Nationals by the looks of it too.
Yeah. A good bloke. Really fun to chat to. That
was fantastic. If you haven't listened to the Tim from Slabstrong episode, do yourself a favor, tune in.
Yeah, get on it. Yep. It was a fun chat.
Alrighty. The rest of the show is just quick hitting, check in on players.
Yeah.
Do some comps. I'm hanging to get back into some comps, just do some hardcore number crunching.
Is this where I cut you off and say you can't comp this?
You can, but I'll probably...
Name of the show. Got it. All right. Who do you want to check in with first?
Look, I think the first one to check in with is Jabari Smith Jr. because for me, he was a really hard one to get my head around last year just for the fact that PYT prices on Houston are quite high.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really think that his aftermarket sales were that great.
Nope.
He went really high in the draft, and I think he went to a team... Look, I've made my opinions, very clearly known about what an absolute cluster storm I thought the Houston Rockets were last year.
Yep.
And in their defense, they've hired a really good coach and they've put some veterans into the locker room. So I think it's reasonable to expect them to be better next year. So Jabari Smith Jr., red cracked ice prism rookie card sold for $15.50. We're not talking huge amount of dollars here. Fresh paint autograph from Court Kings, 56 USD. I think for the third overall pick.
You think he's a buy?
Well, the reason why I do think he's a bias because he's clearly improved in the summer league. So in the summer league, in one of the games, obviously this is a very small sample size, he scored 33 points. You could also argue that if you're a pro, you shouldn't be playing the summer league or you should be dominating. So, maybe you say this is what should be happening. Like that's
Yep.
fine. But at
Yeah.
the same time, he could have gone 0 from 10 too. The other
He could
thing,
have. He could have. He could have.
I'm a
Yep.
little bit ashamed to admit this, but I actually watched the games. They were trying to play him in like in a point forward situation, more
Okay.
decision making, using him from like the pinch post,
Yeah.
even running a little bit of pick and roll for him. He
Mhm.
didn't get as many assists as probably what you'd expect. He got here just 2 assists, 7 rebounds, and a block in
Yeah.
31 minutes. Like, pretty well-rounded game for somebody that was probably perceived as basically just a shooter, not really too much else.
Yeah.
Look, I think there's a lot to be optimistic about here. If he has gone underneath people's radars, people are focused on Chet.
Yeah. True.
I've got no problems with picking up some of this stuff.
Yeah. I have concerns because of the dumpster fire that Houston still looks to be. I mean, it could go in his favor. He might put up some serious points this season, but I think if there was a 16th spot in the Western Conference, Houston would be in it. Like if it was possible to get any worse, Houston, like if they could promote a G League team, they have not done well in the off season. That's opinion based.
You didn't like their off-season?
I just don't see them. I don't see them getting off the floor this year. Like I think they're the bottom rung in the West, and possibly the worst team in the league, possibly.
Yeah, see, I think the problem with Houston next year is I actually don't think they own their pick. It's actually a pick swap.
That's bad.
And I think that's the reason why they overpaid Dylan Brooks. And you could also argue they overpaid Fred VanVleet, but you could also say, well, that's appropriate compensation to get him to come to a team like that.
Yeah.
I think those two guys are going to play, pretty heavy minutes.
Yeah.
And I think what they missed the most last year was somebody actually organizing that team and getting them into their set. So,
yeah, maybe.
Look, I've got the feeling they're going to be competitive next year.
Houston.
Yeah. It sounds weird, doesn't it? So if he plays well, they're competitive, That's the cup half full argument, right?
As far as competitive, I can see OKC being competitive with their youth.
Oh yeah, they were competitive last year though.
And OKC. So the reason I think Houston's in a bad situation is if the youngsters in Houston show promise, no one's going to take offers of Van Vliet and Brooks in a trade package to deliver a superstar to put around that young core. Whereas if OKC are missing one piece and someone's unhappy halfway through the season, like they can throw like 10 draft picks at somebody.
Yeah.
For a big move. I think Houston, I just don't think they've got the pieces to make moves if they look promising.
To be honest, I don't disagree with what you said. I think that the piece that you said about OKC turning multiple pieces into one big piece, that makes logical sense, right? Like if you've got 30 draft picks up your sleeve, the numbers say you can't have 30 draft picks on your roster. Like there's not that many roster spots, right? So they have to be like, cutting that off. And I agree with you. That Houston team was so bad, it's unreasonable to expect them to be
I just think everybody in the West got better.
No, yeah. And that is true. But I think what they're aiming for, because I should have done more prep on this. I'm pretty sure that the pick is protected 1 to 5.
Oh, so they're trying to stop their pick swap from disappearing so they can.
So I think all they need to do is just basically not be in like the worst 5 teams, and then they're okay.
Okay.
Maybe I've got that wrong. All right. I need to follow this
looking into. Also, if any G League teams would like to try and prove me right and beat Houston in a game.
Nah, come on. They're still
It'd
pros.
be funny. It'd be funny.
So, Crown Royale Kaboom. We were just talking about Kabooms. $618 USD. Is that a buy, hold, or sell for you on Jabari Smith?
Jabari Smith Kaboom, how much?
$618 USD.
I'm not touching that with a barge pole. There are pros I wouldn't pay that for. Yeah.
Seems. I agree.
It seems a little high. Funny you mentioned Kabooms because I did have it in the chat that it was the Kaboom is this generation's PMG.
Yeah, okay.
That was the comment.
People love them, don't they? I think
Yeah.
that's. There's no other way to say it.
Can I go back to the national talk? Did you see the full complete set of the red PMGs
No, I didn't.
on display at the national? I'm sure it was on display at the national. I saw multiple social media posts.
Yeah,
But
right.
it was the only ever completed set.
We should have talked about that when we talked about Maddie's set chase thing, right?
See,
Missed
this happened to him
opportunity.
Thursday night. We're just too fuzzy. Oh boy. Although the chat's been very, very lively on this evening.
Excellent. Right. So the next one is Chet. We've done that. So let's go on to the next one, which is Jaxson Hayes. So the reason why I want to talk about Jaxson Hayes is because I think it's fair to say he had a few personal problems the last couple of years in New Orleans.
Yep.
I would probably also say, too, he was a little bit squeezed out of the lineup. I think once they signed Valanciunas, that really sort of was the writing on the wall for him. I think Brandon Ingram being there, Zion, obviously, when he did play.
Yeah.
Look, I'm actually a Jaxson Hayes fan. So, like, just for the record, I think the kid has got insane athleticism to the point that he can play the 3, the 4, or the 5. And I do think that is actually very valuable in our league, to be that sort of switchable, particularly on D. And offensively, again, he's obviously insanely athletic and he's got enough skill to actually, do some things. So him going to Los Angeles, I really like that.
I think it'll be an interesting fit. I think he'll also get a lot of games because we all know how healthy Anthony Davis stays.
So that's the other thing. So at the moment, he's slated as their backup 5, but I can see him playing 5 and 4.
Yep.
Because we know that Anthony Davis likes to play the 4. So I think that would be kind of like a really mobile, but also still big, front line.
Big unit. Yeah.
And then like what you just said then, like it's not like Anthony Davis plays 82 games. I'm quite optimistic for this. What I did want to do, though, was compare this to Rui Hachimura, because Hachimura went to the Lakers last year and actually played quite well. So I think this is a really good opportunity to say, okay, what happened to the last 12 months of Rui Hachimura? Can you then apply that to Jaxson Hayes? Because in my mind, I think it's pretty reasonable to sort of say those two prospects are, ballpark to each other. So in the last 12 months, actually, Rui Hachimura is down 17%. So the thing to add to that, though, is that he is up and down. So he's fluctuated between $14 and $112. So it really does depend on when you hop on the train and, when you hopped off. So basically what I'm saying here is there's no guarantee that when Jaxson Hayes goes to the Lakers, he's going to actually increase in value. You could make the very valid argument he's going to go down. But what we also did see here is a huge amount of fluctuation and ups and downs. It wasn't just one up and down. It was multiple. So, if you do want to play that game, I think Rui Hachimura is still, good to buy at the moment, but I would also be looking at Jaxson Hayes. Sorry, after you.
No, it's definitely worth a look-see for sure. Especially with the writing on the wall as far as we all know that there's some older veterans on that Lakers team, so there'll be opportunity throughout the season.
Yeah. And LeBron's 48 years old now? Like, he's got to slow down at some point.
At some point.
So the last month, people have already started to pick up Jaxson Hayes. He's up 36%.
Yep. As soon as you sign in the purple or gold, you get instant hype, I feel like.
Definitely.
It's like instant, the instant Ferrugia factor.
It's almost easy pickings to, just follow somebody that goes to Los Angeles, but it is a real thing. But I think that's what I wanted to look at, though, was, what does happen over the last 12 months. Like, that was kind of good to look at.
And it is. It's like, well, as you said, like Rui got picked up, the hype happened, and then it's that roller coaster, right? Once you're there.
He was on a legit roller coaster, that guy. Yeah. Alrighty, the next one is Margin Beauchamp, and this is not a name that I would normally talk about at all, but I think that what he did in the Summer League is definitely worth talking about. So, sorry, not I need to correct myself.
Mahjong Beauchamp
It wasn't a summer league game. It was a pro-am. So that's like Rucker Park, all those types of leagues.
the crossover. I'm reading the thing.
It's not actually a joke. Yeah, sorry. I shouldn't laugh.
That's actually the name of the Pro-Am League.
So, look, it does matter because if you're in good form and you're working on your game and you're improving as a player, it all matters. If we're being realistic here about the Bucks, they're a very deep team. They're a championship team. They don't have a lot of time for, kids who are still getting reps in, but at the same time, they will need young legs at some point. So,
true.
Raw silver rookie last sold for $5 USD. I think if you want to prospect and you want to prospect on something that's a bit more established, that's totally fine.
Yeah. $5 investment.
Yeah.
So if he drops 50 in an NBA game, that goes up to a $40, $50 card, doesn't it?
So who was the one from the Nets?
Cam Thomas.
Yeah.
Cam Thomas.
So it's a Cam Thomas type situation where he was sitting around that sort of $3 to $5 mark.
$3 to $5 for a silver prism.
Yeah.
The guy goes and hits, say, multiple 40-point games, and then bang, his PSA, his raw silver rookies are going for $50. People start prospecting.
Here's a good one. Buy, hold, or sell. Margin Beauchamp. Donruss Optic. 4 out of 8 black gold. $255 USD.
Sell.
Yeah.
You know how I said a $5 investment was really good? $250 is not a good investment on someone that.
I mean, it's very low.
Hasn't done that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
And actually,
but
the black goes with the Milwaukee green, so it's almost a color match there, right? Yeah.
Don't try and get me on board.
I was trying to convince you. Yeah.
It's still a sell.
Okay.
It's still a sell. Speaking of green,
talk to me.
Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
He plays in green and he just got lots of green.
He's rolling in green.
Rolling in green.
$304 million.
Man got paid. I'm very happy for Jaylen Brown.
So do you want to talk about this in terms of the league, or do you want to talk about this in terms of his card value?
Both.
Yeah, I want to do both if that's all right. You
go
first.
I love Jaylen Brown. I'm a massive Jaylen Brown fan. I would keep him over Tatum if I had to choose. I don't know. I was worried that something wasn't going to happen, but it's just good to see him get they both he and Tatum were going to get their money, their paydays. And look, Boston have made it abundantly clear that they intend to keep both. That is a massive contract, an absolutely massive contract. That said, I was speaking with a friend the other night about it. He follows football, soccer, and there are people that get paid hundreds of millions of dollars to go and play in crappy leagues. And I don't know, inspired me to maybe become an international football player.
Yeah, I think we're a bit past our use-by date, Dad.
I'll play a season over in whatever country you want me to play in. Whole season I'll try my best every game. Just a couple of $100 million. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Get me to steal.
You'll play at a discount, yeah.
Exactly.
So I think this is an overpay. And the only way that this doesn't become an overpay is if they win the championship. For me, it's literally as simple as this. So for me, the easiest way to explain why this is an overpay is what James Harden did last year. So he re-signed at a discount, and with that discounted money, they then brought in PJ Tucker. So it didn't win them the championship. I get that. But at the same time, that is the consequence of when you put that much salary into one guy. The other example of that too is Damian Lillard. You can pay him all the money in the world that you want, but that's the problem that the Trailblazers then had, was they had problem, building a roster out around it. And I think that's what, really comes to my mind. The second thing is, I don't think that he's going to be the highest paid player in the league for much more than, say, 6 months, because
Agreed.
I think this is the next thing of, how much is Giannis going to get paid when he's up for, how much is the Joker going to get paid? How much is LeBron going to get extended for? So that's probably what I think about this. That's fine, Yes, he's currently the highest paid player, but I think this is just the beginning of things to come. And
look, the more the bargaining agreement goes up and up and up, the more likely that the thing is, the bargaining agreement is designed to make it fair and equitable. All they do is they put the cap up so that the best players get more money.
Yeah,
really. Yeah.
And that Supermax, not everyone can sign that contract. Only particular people can, and he met the criteria for it. Like, that's fine. Like, whatever, it's also what you can negotiate. Like, I get that 100%. But look, frankly, my opinion is if you've got a guy that can only dribble with one hand, you probably shouldn't be paying him the most money out of all the players in the league. So, like,
True.
I'm not super high on this. I think you can kind of hear the tone of my voice.
Anything that hinders Boston's chance of winning a championship, I'm on board.
Look, it's great for me. I think it's fantastic. Like, it gives other teams, more chances to win, basically.
That's it.
So,
that's it.
Let's go. Yep. So,
they already shot themselves in the foot with getting bloody Porzingis. Anyway.
I like the Porzingis signing. I like that a lot. Yeah. Alrighty. So, the people have spoken. Jaylen Brown is down 49% in the last month. His silver PSA 10 last sold for $255, down from $500. So I think we just leave it at that. There's nothing more that needs to be said.
We'll check in on Mr. Brown early in the season, I think.
No. Let's not do that. Let's stick with what we just said then. Down 50%.
Rough. What about the green? What about the Prism Green rookie card?
Sorry. I can tell you green, just really quickly. Card Ladder puts it overvalued by 15% when it's at $255.
Wow.
That's wild, right? Yeah.
That's crazy. All right. Who have we got up next?
Oh, sorry. And the green, PSA 10 green, last sold for $550.
Okay. That's
a little while ago, though. There's not as many sales on that. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Alrighty, up next.
People need to stop color matching so I can pick up some color matches.
That's it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, this next one is a very, very deep cut, but it's an Australian kid, and I'm also going to link it into the guy who aggregated it. So it's Dejan Vasilic. He is an Australian guy who played college basketball in America.
Mm-hmm.
He was undrafted and probably, maybe not going to make it, but he has actually just been signed to a deal. So congratulations to him. It's with the Washington Wizards. It is a camp deal. So look, it's a non-guaranteed deal, but at the same time, he's still there. He's there for his shooting. So he's basically a known, I think the best way to say it is a sharpshooter.
Okay.
Accurate from very, very deep. If you are hunting down his autographs, you will find them in Prism Draft. And I'm basically just using this as a way for me to mention one of my favorite products. Prism Draft. You will find his autographs in that.
Is that the same set with the anime?
Yeah, but in that particular one, it didn't have the manga cards. It just had the downtowns in it. Yeah.
Damn it. I still want to get a box of that, actually. I'm tempted.
Probably the price has come down even more,
True.
Alrighty, so who reported that was Olgun Ulick. So if you don't follow him on Twitter, please do. He's an Australian kid who's basically just gone out as an independent reporter. He works on ESPN also now.
Nice.
And he won a journalism award in the last 12 months. So congratulations to him. Yeah, and keep up the good reporting. He's all over it. He is definitely, he's like an Australian Woj. I think that's the best way to say it. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty. 2 more, and then we'll tie this bad boy off. I just want to talk about Josh Giddey in general. Pretty much just give him a bit of praise.
We don't want to talk about his card prices or compare him at all. We're just going to talk about Giddey.
We can talk about card prices, but I more just want to say he's almost like the anti-Ben Simmons, and that he's doing all the meet and greets. He's playing for Team Australia. He's doing summer camps.
He's embracing his Aussie status.
Yeah.
He realizes that he's
running skills camps for kids. Like, it's not just, promotional stuff too. Like, he's doing grassroots basketball stuff, signing, autographs for kids, and look.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think he saw in Australia anyway, like the Aussie impact of what happened with Ben Simmons? Because Ben Simmons was very, like, he didn't embrace the fact that he was an Aussie. Like, he didn't play for the Boomers. Like, it was really not standoffish, but it was like, I'm too good to come back to my roots. That's the way it came across. And Giddey's been the exact opposite.
He's the complete polar opposite. Yeah.
There's enough of a gap between when he's sort of risen to stardom and drafted.
Look, to be honest, I have no idea who his role model is, but even if you take the middle ground, like Patty Mills comes back to Australia, but he's not nearly as visible as what Giddey is.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I personally think he's like in that space.
Yeah.
He's exceptional. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's great what Josh Giddey's doing, and it's nice to have a player that sort of that does have that sort of connection
Yeah.
to
Just
their
being a role model and just
yeah
a nice young man. So I'm A+ Josh Giddey.
yeah for sure.
Silver PSA 10 last sold for $295. Now, the last time we spoke about him, he was in that sort of 200, 250 mark.
Yeah,
In the last 1 month, he's up 44%, nearly 45%. Cause and effect?
maybe.
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I like Giddey. I think
Yeah.
as a player and as a personality, I think
But people buy cards because they like the player. Like, I think that's a simple correlation,
that's the game,
honestly.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not difficult, is it? It's not difficult at all. Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, last one, I promise. Anthony Edwards.
The Ant-Man.
Changing his number to number 5. He has promised more dunks, more attacks to the rim, and more excitement. He said that number 5 was always his number, and now it's just come to its rightful owner. He actually said this. I'm not making this up.
I got nothing. I don't know. Yep. All right.
What do the people
Fuck.
say? The last month, he's up 10%. The people agree that number 5 is going to be good for Anthony Edwards.
So, in 15 years' time, are the people of Minnesota debating whether or not they're going to retire number 1 or number 5 in Minnesota?
That's surprising to me. Are you surprised he's up 10%?
I think there are people that still think this is going to be his year.
They must.
He hasn't done.
Okay, I think you're about to say he hasn't done much. He's a very good shooter.
But he hasn't done much this month to justify an increase.
Oh, this month. Yeah, definitely. And normally this is when you see a bit of a downturn. So really, I think you can almost call that plus 20% in some ways.
Yeah. I'm like, did he play in one of these off-season?
He's playing Team USA. He's
okay,
doing
Team
that.
USA is a big one. Yep. Yeah. But that's, all right.
He's got his number back.
That's all he needed was his number. He's fine now.
I got to say, this for me is like a make or break type number, though, because 500 US is not exactly nothing.
Yeah. No, if he's up, it's good.
And if he has another, like, I don't think last year was bad, but it wasn't fantastic. If he has another year like that, I cannot really fathom why that price would hold.
Yeah. That's interesting. I think, I don't know. But the jury's out for me for Minnesota at the moment. I don't know. I think they've got a lot of work to do. And I do think Ant-Man's got to take over that team. That's got to be his team.
I still don't understand the roster construction. I don't think Gobert and Cat make sense together. So
yeah, that's crazy.
What's happening?
We'll see when they try and trade Cat for Lillard, and Portland just give up and say okay.
Cat for Lillard, that's kind of fun.
It's a fun trade. It's the one I keep throwing out, but unfortunately, Minnesota's nothing like Miami, weather-wise. So I don't know. Yeah,
performance-wise.
Final
thoughts, Ad?
Final thoughts. Look, yeah, you're right. It's a make or break season for Ant-Man. I for one hope it's a good season for him. We've seen flashes of it. I think yeah, we'll see what the extra digit, the change in digit does.
I'm expecting big things actually.
No, the big things come from Cat and Gobert. They're the big things on the team. That was terrible, wasn't it? That was I
think that joke did go over my head.
Another hype one. Didn't go over Gobert's. Nothing gets past that man.
Definitely not. Did you see the footage of him shooting threes now?
No.
It's horrible. It's so bad. Don't do it.
Why?
Just spend more time reading about Big Baby Davis at the Holiday Inn.
I'm gonna go. Big Bad Baby Davis at the Holiday Inn.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks to the guys in the live chat. I just saw that. You're right, Ad. It was a bit popping tonight.
It was good. I've got the Facebook chat, the Twitch chat. It's nice. Should pop in and do the occasional Thursday show more often. Speaking of which, we've got the big 100 coming up. We should probably start planning that one.
Sure.
Be like, I don't know, probably just like any other episode. Be breaking news.
Let's just do comps for like an hour and a half. That'll be
We could
awesome.
do that. We could do that. We could do that. And good. No, it was a good show. It was good to look at some prices because yeah, you're right. We haven't been much in the last month. I mean, it's been that off season, so we're getting ready for the.
Man, I'm being itching for it, to be honest. Look, for me, this is a very busy time in terms of my like spend. So
Yeah,
like, yeah, I've been looking forward to getting back to this, to be honest.
yeah, no, that's good. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and this season, no, it should be fun.
Yeah,
The hobby
Alrighty,
is
guys.
looking strong. We'll see you all. We'll see you all next week.
Yeah,
Probably not the same time. Who knows? You know, might be Tuesday, might be Friday, might.
time will tell.
Yes, exactly. We'll have Andrew gaze into the future about it. Oh my god! All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye bye.